You could bust out some 30 to get Francis
Yeah,
to
you're
fucking
right.
pummel
That's that
someone
Saudi
with
money. But who you gonna
4-ounce
fight?
gloves.
Who you gonna fight? Who gives a fuck?
You never know. The UFC loses a few people. Contract
The
negotiations.
lawsuit hits.
What is that lawsuit legit? Like, what's going on with that?
Oh, bro, is it legit?
Is it legit?
Yeah, and I think it's.
I don't know. I don't even know what's going on. I try to stay out of it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. But after UFC 300, I think that following Monday is when it comes to trial.
And what is the trial? What are they? It's a class action lawsuit.
Yeah, class action lawsuit, and you got like 60 fighters on that.
God, I'm so glad I'm not a promoter. First of all, I'd be terrible at it because I'd want to give the fighters too much money. I'd be like, you guys deserve it. Listen, let's just figure out a way to work this out. You can't do that if you're running a business. If you run a business, you got to be ruthless.
The thing is, in most cases, the UFC can settle right and be like, here's a bill and get the fuck out of our face. But these fighters are trying to change the game, so they can't settle with them because they want to make a difference in the sport to make it equal pay.
They want some money. So.
Yeah.
Well, no, they want money because they deserve it, but they're not.
$10 million. Just
No, they've already tried that.
They did.
These boys, they're playing for reals. I'm telling you, this is the first time.
Who's the
How many
top guys?
fighters?
Kung Lee.
Oh, really?
And how many fighters are
And
involved
what are
in
they
the
saying?
class action
They
lawsuit?
didn't get paid enough.
There's
or
a
something?
ton. Yeah,
What
just
are they
it's a
saying?
monopoly. Like they couldn't go anywhere else. They're subcontracted. What they do with the Reebok deal.
Well, hold on a second. Didn't Kung Lee come from Strikeforce? He literally came from somewhere else.
Yeah, he came from Strikeforce.
Well,
But then he came to the UFC.
Yeah, but there was
just signed
also
a contract.
Bellator existed at the same time.
But he didn't fight for Bellator.
Right, but he could have.
Yeah, but he fought for Strikeforce, and Strikeforce was bought by the UFC.
Right. But
his
what is
deals
the
with them.
argument that they're definitely the best at it? But the monopoly argument, the problem is that you can make that with the NBA, you can make that with the NFL, you make that with Major League Baseball. If you're playing for an additional football league outside of the NFL,
It's frowned upon.
no, it's just like I've said this before on the podcast, and some fighters got mad at me.
What?
Listen, I understand if you go to Bellator if they pay you more money, and I support you doing that. What I'm saying is, if you want to be the best in the world, you want to be the most famous motherfucker, the king of the king, at 155 pounds, 170 pounds, 185, 205, you have to fight in the UFC. You can
I don't
make
think
it if
anybody's
you're a
debating
prize
that.
fighter, but if you're a fighter and maybe you're one of those guys that fought in the UFC and then you go over to PFL and you make $1 million for the tournament, awesome. What does it say? I agree. You're 100% correct, and I love it.
No, I was
White
just
wrote
showing you this
back.
card. Don't worry about
What is that about? Oh,
It's-
the plaintiffs in the case allege the UFC suppressed fighter pay through anti-competitive tactics such as shutting out competition and controlling the market for top-level fighters. If proven during trial, the UFC would stand to pay up to $1.6 billion in damages to 1,200 fighters who competed for the promotion from 2010 to 2017.
I might get a paycheck.
Holy shit, dude! Do you have an argument?
No, I'm good.
I don't understand.
wouldn't
I don't understand
I'm not including that. I don't think.
what they're saying. Like they did like some tactics.
Well, they bought out the competition, which is definitely true, right? They bought Affliction, they bought Strikeforce.
Is that illegal?
No, they do it in everything.
Yeah.
But in some businesses, there's they will like break you up if you have a monopoly, and it seems to be at the very least connected politically. And that's where it gets weird. It's like how much
so?
money are you donating to the Democratic Party? How much money are you donating to the Republican Party? How much money do you spend on whatever programs they want? How much money you spend on whatever charities they would like you, whatever funds, whatever this, whatever that, whatever foundations. You got to play this game. And then still, if people complain and a lawsuit comes about, there is this possibility that you could be a monopoly. But there's a lot of monopolies, man. I mean, is YouTube a monopoly on video streaming? Because if it's not, it's pretty fucking close.
Yeah, the
I mean-
monopoly thing's a little weird, but I also think their argument is they're not, so they're subcontracted. So the UFC is saying you can't have any other sponsors. We control that. But
Right,
then they go,
during
you're
the Reebok
subcontracted.
days. Right.
And then there's no benefits as well.
Well, the Reebok thing, that there's a real argument there, right? It's like you all of a sudden take away the fighter's ability to have ads. And that was one of the things that
But
I
no
knew from
sport-
you, that you had more money in sponsors for your shorts or for the fight week than you did from your purse.
Correct. And Dana
Dude,
thought
in the
to Dana's
NFL, you
credit, he
can't
thought
wear
I was lying.
sponsors.
Remember, Dana thought I was lying. I was like, bro, I'm telling you, I'm not lying. I'm gonna
I
go.
think they didn't know. I honestly think they didn't know. I think they didn't look into it, and Reebok came along and said, we'd like everybody to wear our shit, and we'll give the fighters a certain amount of money. They knew about fighters getting ripped off. They knew some fighters were not getting paid. But the people that were doing it correctly, guys like you, were making a substantial amount of money off those sponsors.
And I used to have a huge chip on my shoulder with Dana with that. But then as I get older, I'm 40. I'm like, oh, he's not. They need to wake up and make a decision. How can I fuck Brendan? He was like, how can I make the UFC more money?
Hey, if your sponsor, if like you didn't wear your sponsor's logo during a UFC broadcast, would they pay you the same? Would they still pay you?
No, because the
Why
deal.
not?
No, because you have
the
to
deal-
be
Because you
wearing
didn't-
the shorts
in
on
the
the
UFC.
They didn't get
UFC.
advertising.
Yeah.
during
Yeah,
your
that's the
fight.
whole reason
Yeah.
why they're there.
NFL players can't start wearing their own shit.
But they make millions of dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
it's
Eddie
all
did
about
say-
how many. It's
But
all. Can you move the needle? That's it.
But even the guys that move the needle aren't compensated. The argument here is the NFL pays 50% of profits. The NBA pays 50% of the profits. The UFC pays 14%. That's a fucking issue.
Here was the solution.
I didn't know that.
Here's the solution that I thought of. Get a bunch of people that are interested in sponsoring the UFC. Approve them. Approve all those people. And say, this is our list of fighters. Who would you like to work with?
Or what's your budget? And the UFC controls it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you vet the people so you know they're going to pay. You know that these are legitimate businesses.
It's not like Condom
but
Depot.
you reach out to a host of different businesses and let them pick and choose the fighters. So guys that are more popular, or guys that like some guy has got like a niche. He would be funny for Manscaped. This guy would be funny for this guy, and you figure out which ones you want to sponsor.
Joe, they do that now.
But on your shorts, bro.
But they do that now with Monster.
Okay, with one. But it's only one.
But you know what the problem is you bring the company to the UFC, and UFC goes, cool, what's your budget? 100 million? We'll take 90 of it, and then we'll give 10 to the fighters. That's the issue. That's why there's a lawsuit.
I don't know what the deal was with Reebok, but what I was saying is maybe it would be more lucrative for everybody if you just had a bunch of sponsors. Like, to have just one sponsor, like whether it's Reebok or Venom or whoever it is, I get it. You'd want a uniform to look, but there was something cool, in my opinion, about people wearing different uniforms.
Me too.
Like when Melvin Manhoef used to come out and he had those gladiator shorts.
The
Remember that
Spartan
shit?
shorts?
Where they were like, it was
How
like a
about Chuck
skirt.
shorts, or Rich Franklin, the brown and fucking pink? What?
I loved that. And when Dynamic Fasteners was sponsoring everybody, and everyone was like, who the fuck is Dynamic Fasteners? It was like some dude who just had money, who was a fan of the sport.
But
said, I want to sponsor a bunch of
the problem
world-class
for the
fighters.
fighters now is, remember, look, so the fighters are clean. Look at the octagon. Looks like a fucking NASCAR.
Yeah,
So UFC's making
everywhere.
more money off that, and the fighters are getting between 14 to 70%. That's why they're upset.
I think you could easily have sponsors on these fighters' shorts along with Venom. And it's not going to take